Hey there guys, welcome back to another video where we've seen Leeds United obviously go down 3-2, away at Manchester City. It's obviously a bit disappointing, if I'm totally honest with you. I thought they put up a valiant effort in a game where there was very little that we expected, especially when the first goal goes in. I mean, wow. I thought heads up against the walls. We're in for a real battle here today. Is it damage limitation that's probably about to come? But as the half got going, the confidence levels were obviously really low to start with. But I think there was they had to relax a little bit at times and try to overcome the press that Manchester City were imposing on Leeds. The first half was really much a disaster class, if you like. But there was immense pride come the end of the match. I mean, the first goal, though, it comes again down that left side. I mean, Daniel said, and I also said that I was intrigued to see how he had effectively said that he was going to change the left side. They'd found a solution. Well, clearly not. Clearly, he just looked at James Justin and done a swap replacement for obviously Gabriel Goodmanson, but again, it didn't quite go down well in the first half. There were still gaps. He made some really good blocks, James, but he's not a natural left fullback. But having said that, I thought second half, I just want to get straight in really to what looked to be a very good change from Daniel for a change as well. Changing to a 5-3-2 was really effective. I don't think Manchester City quite expected Leeds to change the formation and almost the style of play, trying to play a bit more direct, going two up top, asking more questions of Manchester City and Pep Guardiola's tactical brain, how he could overcome Leeds. Well, for the majority of it, I felt that in the second half we were very good. Obviously, going 2-0 down, it was a little bit disappointing. But if you look at the second goal, Lucas Perry, first of all, makes a fantastic save, probably his save of the season, having not made a great deal of saves. But then the corner, a top six side gets those decisions. If you're playing a team like Burnley, like Fulham, you might just get away with it and get a free kick. And you can see Bernardo Silva's obviously holding Perry back from being able to reach the ball. And that's the disappointing part. And last week's referee, Rob Jones, looked to be on VAR. And yet again, we saw his performance against Aston Villa as a referee. Didn't put that down to the result as such, but I was just really, really upset with the decision because, it's a manager that's under pressure. Whether I like Daniel or not, his job's at stake. And to go 2-0 down, it could have literally crumbled right in front of our eyes. Thankfully, we came out and he made some changes. I think the changes came because he knew he was under pressure, first of all. Second half, he went with two up top, changed to a back five. We were a lot more solid, but we also had the ability to play long to Calvert, and then Mecha could pick the pieces up. What was really impressive, especially how the first goal came about with Calvert-Lewin, was the press. And Mecha was tracking, he was running, and he was managing to just sort of bring himself into their defence, and the panic came. If you ask questions of any team in this league, there's always going to be a chance that they might make a mistake. And luckily, I think we had a press of 5 players up top at that point, and managed to undo Manchester City, which I was very pleased about at the time. And Calvert-Lewin obviously then took advantage of a couple of mistakes, which was really impressive. And then the game, all of a sudden, the swing and the script sort of changed, and Leeds started to show a little bit of hope, a little bit of confidence and pragmatism throughout it. And I was really impressed. The fact that Daniel actually decided to make changes was probably the most baffling thing, in terms of I was so happy and so pleased we were being more proactive and adapting to the game's conditions, because for the large periods of the season, I mean, we haven't done that. If we stick with this system now that Daniel tried to do against Manchester City, I think it works against the majority of teams. Almost not we didn't necessarily play a low block. It would be knocking Leeds United's way of playing today, because it was very effective. It was very much on the front foot. We still managed to get it wide, but we had a target man. We had something finally to aim for, but not only aim for. We had a Metcher up there with him that was able to pick up the pieces that Calvert-Lewin had to go for. And then when they managed to pick the ball back off us, we were still pressing, we were still going at it, and putting Manchester City under some real pressure. And that's where Leeds have really been lacking. Then obviously the penalty comes, and it was as clear as day. The fact it took as long as VAR to assess whether or not this was a penalty was baffling. I mean, you know, as the people are watching on here, supporters that go to the games, you stood in a stadium where you don't know what's going off. You don't know really what's happening. It just says VAR, decision pending, penalty, let's say. And for the people that manage to watch it at home or wherever in the world they are, they can see what's going off. But the lack of clarity from the Refereeing Association absolutely stinks. Now, podcasts and videos across the country have all said the same. I'm very keen to find out what people have to say. And ultimately, the decision from everybody that's doing the podcast have all said that it's disappointing, the lack of communication and the people in the stadium not knowing what's going on. It does almost deflect what the point we are there for. You know, and I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, VAR, if I'm honest still. I'm very 50-50. I think the intent's very good. The execution, unfortunately, is not there yet. And the most stonewall penalty of the season gets given after a good minute that VAR didn't need to intervene with. It could have been a very quick check of maybe 5-10 seconds to say, yeah, easy decision. Leeds United must have a penalty. And unfortunately, yeah, again, we've been undone with another minute where we're waiting for that decision. Nevertheless, though, Metcher very smartly, should we say smartly, fires at the goalkeeper at a good height so that he can't quite hold on to it and manages to tap in the rebound. And I must say that the heart sung. You know, luckily we've managed to put it away, but you know, I didn't think it was a very good penalty. It was a good height for the keeper, but another open play goal for Lucas, which is going to do his confidence good. And it's I think that's 4 goals for the season now already, so he should be looking at double figures, which, you know, in any side I think is a great, you know, comeback. And his injury record's not the best, so he's managing to keep fit and sustain that. And the medical team, I must admit, have done a fantastic job with him. I was very dubious with the amount of signings that we've made, such as Sebastian Bornau, we know hasn't played. Not very impressed with that. It's a 5 million throwaway, really, but we've just put down the drain. Up to now, anyway. Then, obviously, Lucas and Calvert-Lewin's injury record has not been brilliant. And I must admit, I think both have majority of the time stayed fit up to now and are adding extra quality to the group that we so desperately needed right now, especially in this situation that we find ourselves in. Having said that, again, though, the group's mentality today, you know, they've stayed strong, they've showed character, and it's just what we needed. I do have to question, though, one thing is, against Nottingham Forest, against Brighton, how we went down. That's what upsets me in games when we do lose. Today, I'm not upset as such. Okay, it's another loss. We've not managed to pick points up. I didn't expect us to get anything today, is what I'm going to say. I know we need it, but, you know, at the same time, they've shown some courage. They've responded to the tactical changes extremely well. Jacobiol, again, I thought that back three actually looked very good. I'm impressed. I want to see some consistency now with it on a tactical basis. I want to see this style implemented, whatever they have to do in training to maybe adjust the odd thing that they do behind the scenes so that they're ready, match ready for the next upcoming games. I think it's quite exciting if you want to look at it from one angle, that we've got Chelsea coming up, we've got Liverpool. I feel like the players shouldn't play with a great deal of pressure. Don't go into it with a losing mentality by any means. Having said that, again, though, I think that they've got to go for it and have fun. Play with pride, put the personality on the pitch. That's all that Leeds United fans are asking for. And I was extremely delighted. It's real sucker punch, at the end of the game, to the Phil Foden goal. Being hypercritical if I said that Lucas Perry, could he get down to that a little bit quicker? I'm not so sure. I think that there were a lot of bodies in the way, probably unsighted to a degree too. Just couldn't quite manage to shut him down, and he's a top player. He's an excellent player, and will obviously be going to the World Cup in next year's 2026 summer in America, Canada, and Mexico, which we will expect. Guys, get your thoughts and comments down below on today's performance. Who shone for you today? Who's the best player, do you think? Were there any key moments in the game where you felt it could go the other way? And were there any things that you thought Daniel actually decided to apply today and on a tactical basis? And the cohesiveness between the group today, I thought second half was a lot better. I want to see it for 75, 80 minutes though. I think one half's not enough, but I'm going to put it down to the tactical changes that the team applied themselves in a much better condition second half. So, introducing Smudge Ukraine, nice to see you, matey. Daniel Farke needs replacing. Well, I must admit, mate, it's not looking good right now. The positive that we can take from today is that the group showed signs that they took the tactical halftime discussion on really well. They adjusted and climatized to something that they've not really played with. In terms of this system, a back five, I actually think had he have done that to start with, we probably might have won this today. Now, if you go for a back five, I think it gives Gabby Goodmanson the ability to come back in and gives him a little bit more freedom at what he does best going forward. The amount of spaces he attacks into is one of the best parts of his game. The defensive side of it, the left side, we've struggled since really Charlie Taylor left. On a Premier League basis, though, it's been really difficult to go with the 4-3-3. I think with the support, in terms of the midfield, we've obviously lacked Anton and Sean Longstaff today. Not been overly impressed with Sean's contributions to a degree. I think he could, when he gets into more shooting positions, he needs to start having a bit more confidence in future games to have a go, rather than just thinking that he has to pass it out wide and Leeds going through the motions as such in most games. But I thought Gruev, to be fair to him, had a decent enough game. And he's a steady squad player. I can't expect 10 out of 10 creative performances, Pablo Hernandez-esque, from him. But he did his job. Ampadu also did. And obviously Tanaka, he now needs to find his form again. Daniel needs to give him the game time that he truly deserves. He's a Premier League player. And the more games he gets, the confidence is going to grow. We look at Declan Rice last season saying that he watched a lot of the Championship, especially Tanaka at Leeds, and he was basically saying how inspired he was by his performances. And he isn't just a natural midfielder. He can play box to box. He's very controlling. He can dictate games. And where it's won and lost, he's very much in the mix of that too. So Daniel, should he be still in charge of Leeds? I don't like talking about potential managers leaving, but unfortunately, Daniel has put himself in this boat alongside with Underwood, who has done the recruitment as well. Mitch Smith, another Mitch. Very rare I see these Mitches around, but we'll go with it. Nice to meet you, mate. This squad has been crying out for 5-3-2. Farke needs to stick with this formation. Yeah, I think it's a great point, mate. Another good Mitch there. I think Daniel now has almost seen a formula that he can potentially use going forward, and that's really good. I'm impressed today. I think the commitment levels have to stay at that level, though. You can play any system that you want in this league, but without a desire, without heart, and without fight, we have no chance of surviving. Even talking tactically formations, you could be the best tactician in the league. It doesn't necessarily give you the right, but you're quite right, mate. If we play with that system and the rest of the ingredients that go with that, I believe that Leeds have a great chance of at least battling to stay up. It will give us a fighting chance. We've just played arguably against one of the best teams in the world. All those players that played were rested midweek. So, I'm not being funny. They've had a full week to rest up for this game. And it's probably, arguably, a good decision from Guardiola. Because I think if they'd have played midweek, you look at the physical outputs and you wonder on whether or not that they managed to have just got over the line had they have played in midweek. The top quality players, they bring 3 buses to Ellen Road, which obviously contains staff. When I say 3 buses, I mean the whole Manchester City team comes, staff, whatever. They've got 3 squads. So even their B and C team, if you like, would still manage to get into our team or start for our side. I mean, James Trafford, there's players on that bench that come in for Leeds, but they spend the money. They've got so many charges that are coming up. Probably get away with it just like they have done today. And yeah, it's a shame, really. I think if football was done properly and we followed the PSR rules or the profit and sustainability, they wouldn't be where they are today had that have all been sorted out by now. I believe there's a decision coming on that for everybody watching very shortly. But, I don't want to come off topic. I don't want to come away off what we're talking about today. But, teams that have they're a giant, aren't they, really? When they are that big, usually they get away with it because they have all the best lawyers and everything like that. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. Alex Ellis was happy in the result today. Yeah, and I think it probably makes you more happier because, the damage limitation was coming into my head. Are we going to go and almost park the bus up? The heads would have gone. I think no matter what happened, really, I think the heads would have gone today if 3 and 4 had started to go in. But they didn't. They managed to pull themselves together. They didn't feel sorry for themselves. And they showed a real fight and a potency. That's the key. If we're gonna stay in this league, going to places like City, we have to be on top. And I thought second half we were. I want to see it for 90 minutes though as well. I haven't really felt coming out of Ellen Road, especially, that we've stayed within reason and thought, okay, that's a really good strong 90 minutes. Energy levels, the outputs. I mean, I believe Daniel actually said that we had the best output in terms of the physical ability other than Manchester City in the league. I think that's running off the ball more than on it because we do have to fight a lot more for the ball and that. But I do really think today there was some really good signs to take going forward. But I love what we've done. But will we do that? We've got a really tough week. And Daniel's already mentioned in the pre-match against Manchester City before today that there will be a lot of rotation. I don't want him to rotate too much going into next week. I think stick with what he had second half. Stick with the players he had second half too. And I don't think we'll be far away. Ellen Road has to be a fortress. We have to make it uncomfortable for the away team in Chelsea and Liverpool, obviously coming up. Under the lights, both on telly. Don't talk to me about the kickoff times, especially for the Chelsea game, because it just so annoys me. I mean, even for the away fans, we've been in those scenarios as well, going down to Brighton midweek, Millwall. I have to question by the EFL previously, by the Premier League, by the organisations, that is that really fair to supporters that pay really good money, that stick by their teams every week. Can we have a little bit more, a little bit more leniency when travelling such distances? It's a waste of oxygen we're talking about that, to be totally honest with you, because it won't really change for me. We've not seen it change, and unfortunately, the passion in this country for football is so high. I mean, you see it every week. One game you lose at other clubs that are doing pretty well, they want the manager out. The intensity, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch for most clubs is so difficult with fans because it's the main heartbeat of this country, which is why that when we go with England and all the songs we come up with and the passion, it's always there. And I think the scrutiny under that is always the most challenging part for any manager, because not only have you got the board to please, to keep happy, the players to keep on side, your director of football who either suggests players that you can have or you suggest to him what you can have. And when he comes back and tells you can't have that, It's another thing. And then the supporters, obviously the 12th man. I mean, I wouldn't mind, but at Glasgow Rangers, they dedicate the number 12 shirt to the supporters, so retired the number. So it almost epitomises the country, really, that. Next comment. Sorry, Alex Ellis. I want a bit more aggressive play as well. Yeah. And, the more that you get stuck into teams, it's almost so challenging, though, now, just because of how all the eyes are on you. It's a walking CCTV's VAR. You can't get away with absolutely anything the best of times, 9.5 out of 10, because usually they do make a mess of something. And especially Michael Oliver, Anthony Taylor, Rob Jones clearly don't have a lot of time for Leeds. And maybe I'm being a little bit biased towards our football team, but it does. I do sometimes wonder how much they actually take into consideration who the opponent is, who the team that the opponent's playing to, when coming to decisions. They talk about laws of the game, but I feel like they just wriggle it around in terms of what decision they make to justify it. But no, going back to the original point, playing aggressive, it's fantastic. As long as we keep it disciplined as well, just letting them know we're there. Almost when you've got a striker like Calvert-Lewin, someone that's really dominant and impressive, it's nice to have, because centre-backs do not like playing against Calvert. I can 100% guarantee that. Any analysis conducted by teams, by opponents, will see that Calvert-Lewin wins, more than 9 times out of 10 of headers. And then if you've got someone like Lucas and Metcher up there, potentially Pirro, even though he's really slow, but he has got a great shot on him if he finds himself in that position. He has to be half a yard ahead of the play, if Pirro ever does play. But we've got a lethal weapon with Calvert. Even though if he doesn't score many, today, congrats to him. But regardless whether he scored today or not, I would be saying he has to really be starting as much as we can. Push his physical output to the possible that we can without injuring him, because we know he is essentially made of glass. But going forward, if we can keep this system, make sure that the players are aligned with it, and the discipline side has to stay within what it is, then I think we've got a fantastic chance of battling any teams around what we've got. I just can't help but look back at the games, that we've had against Nottingham Forest, against Fulham, where it was really much a game in the balance that never quite got going, where I didn't think either team deserved a win. And then obviously Goodmanson puts probably one of the best own goal headers in without even meaning to do so. So, it's very difficult to get by that, but we have to look forward now. We've got a really challenging December, which in some effects, like I've said, it takes the pressure off. They can refocus and can play with a freedom without playing with a freedom, if that makes sense. So play with freedom in terms of a mindset. Don't hesitate. Don't fear any opponent that we've got, because Liverpool aren't in form. They've lost 6 this season, so there's lots that they can look at, analyse, and see where those mistakes are being made, because that's a constant as well. Chelsea play very robotic football. It's just one moment usually of magic. Fair play against Barcelona, but there's definitely gaps we can find there. They've got a squad of 60. I mean, it's just ridiculous that for a start. But we've just got to make sure we adapt to making Neto's life really difficult. And they've got Liam Delap up front, who's a real physical presence. João Pedro. So the list goes on. We could say we've done 24 minutes of this so far. We could go on another 24 minutes and still not name the whole Chelsea squad, because it's so big. But yeah, Alex, I think you're quite right. We have to play with an aggression and play on the front foot within the reason of being disciplined with that too, making sure we keep the gaps reduced, stick to the back five. It completely reduces the mistakes that are coming down that left side and neutralises it to some effect, which obviously we really want. It's an ongoing issue. Alex Ellis, you saw it today. City's back four did not want to, with Calvert, 100%, mate. And as we've discussed, any team that has Calvert-Lewin to defend is bad enough. With 2 strikers, it's virtually impossible on the day if they're on form. We only need him there for the knock-ons. Any goals is just a bonus. So yeah, fingers crossed we can do that again. Maruna NG, this team gives me a heart attack every time I watch it play. Yeah, and I think that's very much the DNA of Leeds United. It gives everybody an heart attack, and you never quite know what's going to happen a lot of the time. Against some teams, the narrative's there. It's very challenging. It's difficult to play against in this league. It's brutal. Even at 2-2, I had to almost be a little bit like the Ralph Hasenhüttl meme, where he celebrates and then almost goes, "Oh, okay, I need to calm down," because you know it's so ruthless. It is heartbreaking a lot of the time, and the intensity is just 3 levels above the Championship. Hence the reason for the 6 teams that have gone down over the last 2 years. It's no lie when you don't invest properly that situations can come on you very quickly and get away from you. Luckily, I think the teams around these areas are very close within each other. So that's one positive that I'm going to give us, that we will be well in with the fighting chance. We can't let the points gap get big at any point, because I don't know how this group would react to it. I'm not saying it would be bad, but I'm not also saying that I'd be too keen on that coming about. West Ham under Nuno have done really well. I do slightly worry for Daniel after these 3 games, because I know Leeds are very database driven now. They won't necessarily look at the performances, I don't believe. They'll look at the list of results. They'll look at performances within that. I'm not saying that will be ignored. But on the whole, we're talking about 45 minutes, really, and another 45 minutes last game. And we've come away with nothing. So today, yeah, okay, I understand we weren't expecting anything. But on the bottom line, it is another L. And that is not standing for Leeds. It's standing for, obviously, another loss. So it's imperative that we start to pick some points up with good performances that can be complemented by this. Because when you're in this dogger moment, I call it the dogger. It's wretched. We've had rain today, heavy rain, and that's very much the feeling on top of the team when we are in these moments. Alex, thank you very much as well, by the way, for everyone's comments. It's always appreciated. And let's keep going like this for now. So, Alex Ellis, Liverpool's defence is shocking this season, I believe. We can hurt them, I think. Yeah, hopefully, mate. Fingers crossed that we can attack them. We can find the gaps. There's no team that's indefensible in this league. We can 100% get at Liverpool. I think the midfield's always going to be the battle where it's won and lost. And to be fair to Gruev and Tanaka today, they did a really good job of that, and as well Ampadu. Very reliable. Your captain leading the line, or leading the team, should I say. It's just now about, taking that performance and into the next match. You've got to look at it. We won the second half 2-1. That should be real incentive for the team, going forward, and applying themselves against teams with much higher outputs, with much higher quality, and that commitment. The commitment will win any match. 80%. If you can commit as a group, as a full 11, with that much passion and energy and a kick fire in the belly, then they're always going to have a chance of battling against teams. And some teams will crumble under that too. Let's not forget that. So it's just about now. We're in a dogfight. How are we going to get out of it? Well, we need supporters on side. I think let the board do the talking with Daniel now. I know it's so difficult when he's not making subs. He has to help himself as well. Constantly playing Brendan has not been good. It's shown today. Pull him out of the team, and we've had a really good chance at winning a football match. I'm not just putting it down to him, but it does feel like we're playing with 10 men most of the time. He does a lot of running. People have said he tries a lot. But what good's that if he's not being effective within the game? It's okay coming off. He takes his sports bra off, which almost shows the kilometres he's run over the game. I don't see any benefit of that when the analysis from that to the game does not add up. So what he's contributing in game doesn't show what kilometres or what miles or how fast he's running, because ultimately it's about quality on the pitch. It's not about just running. He runs everywhere and nowhere. And it does sound very hypercritical on him, but £28 million we spent on him was a complete disaster from Leeds, if I'm honest. Big up Nige. What a shame they played well today. Nige from Southampton. So, yeah, and I think, I don't want to regurgitate the similar things, but we just need a break. We need a point on the board. We need to stop this sort of rot that we're in at the moment. It doesn't get any easier. I mean, I talk about just the week alone right now because we've got Chelsea midweek, which I'm really looking forward to, and then Liverpool. But you have to consider we've got Brentford, who arguably at the start of the season, when you saw what was going on, Thomas Frank leaving Brentford, and the team was almost disintegrating as such. You saw Johan Wieser go to Newcastle for quite a big fee. No more Ivan Toney, which they once had. And each year they managed to almost replace those players, which they've brought Schade onto that left side instead of Wieser. And Buemo obviously left as well in the summer for a big fee to Manchester United. Thiago up top for them has done extremely well. And how this Moneyball effect works to some degree, like it has done for Brentford, complete credit to them, complete credit to Brighton, to Bournemouth, the most well-run clubs. Tony Bloom's done a fantastic job at Brighton. I mean, it's complete full credit to him. He's now gone up to Hearts and sort of done some investment there. They've not done quite well lately, but they're still top of the Scottish Premiership. It would break the trend of between Rangers and Celtic. Obviously, Celtic dominating quite a lot lately, but yeah, fair play to those clubs. Very well run, and also on a database driven system. If you've got the right people in the club to do that, then it's more than worth doing. But obviously, at Leeds, I mean, I'm not being funny at the moment. I don't want to call them amateurs, but the summer we've just had 100 million spent, and the majority of the signings haven't really integrated well into the squad, such as your Beals, your Bornows, your Perrys. I think with Perry, it's a strange one. His save percentage and the XGs that he stopped, the expected goals for Leon was incredible. And it's just not quite working out yet at Leeds, but we'll have to just keep going. He's very much the jury's out on him, and I did notice Melier on the bench too today, which was very interesting seeing him there. I thought he was pretty much gone. Kevin Driscoll, good evening, mate. If we play against Liverpool the way we played against City in the second half, we have a great chance of getting a draw or a win. Yeah, and they're all ifs and buts. So, it's imperative that Daniel now, should he be in charge of Leeds, I know it's very much 50-50 right now how long he will last as the Leeds United manager. But it's not all down to him, as I've discussed with Adam Underwood and Robbie Evans behind the scenes. They've got as much to add to this, and Parag, Marathi, the chairman. They've got as much to take responsibility for here. The only one thing I can say with Daniel, apart from today, was the lack of proactiveness, more reactiveness in game, and not using his squad properly and essentially efficiently. So it's something that I would love to see next match. I want to see at least 80 minutes of it, though. We can't be dropping off and seeing alternative patterns of performance levels. We have to keep going. We have to increase the ability to play with that passion, commitment, and with that, it then comes with the quality because you're trying. It's just crucial. Mark Coggins, good evening, Mark. Nice to see you, mate, in the chat. 3-2 against Manchester City is not a good result, but it looks like a close game. And if you can play at the standard in every game, you're going to do well, especially with Manchester City in form they are at the moment. It's a good point, mate. So thanks for the comment, Mark. I think going into it, considering we conceded 3 against the team that was below us, considering we conceded 3 against Brighton, who, in my opinion, weren't that amazing. I think they're a good side normally under Fabian Hertzler, but I'm not quite sure actually how good they are at the moment. I don't think they're in the best moment. They hadn't kept a clean sheet for, I believe it was, I could be wrong. So if anyone wants to check this and can correct me, but it was over. I think it was 21 games that they hadn't kept a clean sheet before keeping one against Leeds. There's no doubting they had a great attacking ability, but again, that was another drop point. So yeah, we've been on a conceding spree. We still are, but second half 2-1, 2-1 win. It's a very Jesse Marsh take that. So please, again, don't judge me for saying it, but as a group, they really need to have a look at that and focus and say to themselves, well, for 45 minutes they were 2-1 better, 100%. From the minute go, from 45th minute till the very last, they gave absolutely everything. But I want to see it again and again and again. And whether we can do or not is the next question. But just digressing what you're saying, and if you can play at that standard every game, again, it is all ifs and buts, and it is from me too. Whether or not it can be done, and whether it is achievable, I don't know. But it's just something that we can potentially achieve. But it's keeping everybody fit to a degree. We've obviously had Anton Stack out for today's game, and potentially Chelsea. So we will catch up on that one as well, especially in the next one when we again go through Daniel Farke's pre-match conference ahead of Chelsea, which I can't imagine will be coming out. So we're on Saturday night now, Sunday, potentially Monday. The presser, I'd imagine this week, and Tuesday. So we'll find out what the fitness levels are on that. And how everybody's coping. 100% we'll be bringing Anton in now in the midfield. Really good tackle. He's got a good shot on him. There's a physical presence there, and he fights, and that's what we need. He will definitely adapt to the commitment side of things and adding a presence in midfield that I really like. So we'll have to wait and see on that one, Mark. But thank you very much for that comment. Let's have a look. Alex Ellis. Hi, mate. Again, I would like to see Darlow, me really. So the thing is, what Leeds are having to do is play him. And it's not because he's playing really well, but because they don't want to look complete idiots, is my point. So what I mean by that is they've just paid quite a big fee. For a goalkeeper, I think 15 million is a decent sum of money. It's a very much a market. You'd be expecting a marquee signing for that as in the goalkeeper department. What I am going to ask of, which I have previously questioned, is the goalkeeper coaching from Ed Wootton, who Daniel had previously at Norwich. I don't really see much improvements. I don't see anything in-game where they've been working on much. I'm not saying they haven't, but you know, it does come with a question mark, if I'm totally honest with you, in whether we have a good coaching team or not in that side of things. You know, you've seen Ian Mellier go backwards under Daniel. In fairness, he had gone back and Sam Allardyce removed him from the groups. He saw that confidence was so low, and he never really picked up from after that, I'd say second Premier League season, where he was making saves for fun, especially the second season. I think he had the highest save percentage, but was constantly making errors and a real disappointment in judgment for most of it. And then the Championship, well, I think we finish on 120 points, if not a couple more, had he been removed. And it almost shows the lack of, how do I put this? The lack of showing from Daniel, the lack of tactical understanding in terms of the goalkeeping situations. He's very stubborn. He wanted to keep with him. He thought that form was going to change for Ian, and it never did. And it was getting worse every week, to be honest. His confidence was dropping. You cannot have a keeper that doesn't have confidence. It's the worst thing. You need your back line has to trust your goalkeeper. And on several occasions, you look at the games against Sunderland, maybe a slight bit of unluckiness. But to be honest, even if the ball does move, which it clearly did slightly, he should have still caught that. Preston last year, really simple goal to concede. It should have been stopped. Hull City away was a disaster. And they just come off the tip of my tongue for Ian. And I feel sorry for the guy, but he's on a lot of money. They're there to do a job. And I thought the potential he once had has now significantly faded. And a change of club might do him a lot of good. And you never know, he might come good. But it's very difficult to see right now through his lack of match sharpness as well. He's going to take some time when he does eventually move on. Betsy Taylor, nice to see you. Love. Perry again, it's been a huge disappointment. Another goalkeeping error. It was Michael Dawson who was commentating on our game on Soccer Saturday, obviously live on Sky Sports. Perry has been a massive disappointment. It's not the first time he's had a bad mistake, which costed another goalkeeping error. Well, and yes, Waffle, yeah, I like that style. Thank you very much. It's a fantastic comment. And yeah, Perry's not set the world alight. Whether or not he should still be in the side is another question for itself. But could it be a settling down job? There were reports that he'd been in a bit of a car accident in Harrogate, I believe, the other week. So life has not got off to a very good start for the Brazilian. So I am very concerned with the goalkeeping situation because, I like Carl Darlow. Is he a number one? No, he never has really been. He came through at Nottingham Forest, moved to Newcastle United with Jamal Lascelles as a double deal, and never managed to really get the number one shirt. They always had someone else that they felt slightly better. I don't think you can. I've had a lot of Newcastle United fans say he never put a foot wrong for them, apart from one I do really remember, which was against Rotherham United, and he recovered very well from that mistake. But we haven't got a great choice, in my opinion. If the form continues to dip where Perry's constantly making mistakes, then 100% he has to come out. Whether or not, I think Darlow must come in for Perry. Definitely not Melier. 100% not. He's not played for since start of last April against. I think his last game was Swansea at home. So he shouldn't even be with the group. And so it was surprising to see him on the bench. Still to find out. Maybe you guys know whether Darlow had an injury today or whether it was just a rotation between sub-keepers. I don't know. But yeah, we must look at the goalkeeping market again. But there's that many positions that have failed. I don't really trust Adam and team to get it, to put it right in terms of the transfer window. I'm really concerned going into January, if I'm honest with you. I'm not quite sure whether or not they'll bring in the right players that we need. You look at a January window, my first thought is, how good is he going to be? How many games has he played this season? Because usually you get the players that haven't played in January, as we saw before, with Weston McKennie, who was miles out of it. You're then looking at players that have been injured, that can't get back into the team, or they don't want their team to have him because he's been injured. And then you're having to fight that battle to get his fitness back up. Probably take at least 3 to 4 weeks in terms of building match fitness back up. So that's then getting him back into the games, and he's not 100%. So you don't want them type of players to come in. Leeds have to now really show what they're about. Now, they had all summer, which is very concerning. There were a lot of months there that went by. There was panic deals galore going off on the deadline day in the summer, and they didn't manage to bring anybody in after Daniel had openly told the media that what he needed still, and we all saw it anyway. So whether he said it, he wanted it or not, he's probably just covering his back a little bit there as well. And I'm not knocking Adam Underwood. I think he's a great guy. Did really well in the academy. Was there 10 years, 9 months as academy manager, and then as operations manager, he was there 1 year, 4 months. So Leeds obviously thought it was good enough. Having said that, you've got Greta Steinson that's gone to Rangers, who was previously chief scout, I believe. You've then got other things as well. You've got Nick Hammond. Nick Hammond was absolutely unreal. He turned the club around behind the scenes. They initially gave him a 3-month contract, something I questioned with Angus during the championship season. Will he manage to give him another contract? Will he be staying on? He's obviously done previous jobs at, I believe Newcastle, at Reading, and he did really well. So it was imperative that kept him. Arguably, most of the signings that came in Farke's first season were down to Nick Hammond, and the turnover in players that left and the turnover in players that came in was down to him. So, having said all that, again, you've lost Greta, you've lost Nick, and now you've replaced basically a lot of them with Adam Underwood and in-house people. And I just think to myself, we talk about going as close to PSR. We talk about what quality we want to bring in back in the summer. And you thought it was a great idea to put Adam Underwood in charge. And that's no disrespect to Adam. I'm not having a go at him because he doesn't deserve that. He's obviously someone that's passionate about the club, that wants to do well and be massively involved. But from an ownership point of view, it was a complete misjudgment in the summer to bring him in. And if he only had so much to work with, I'd have rather have brought someone in more astute. You look at Manchester City, someone like Tishy, who's their director of football, gets sort of an easy life. They get the money, they get the cream of the crop in terms of players that are allowed to come in. You look at both situations. You want someone as top possible to come in that can implement and work with Daniel in that respect. Because I don't see a great deal of work that went off in the summer to really attract the best players. There was no pull. They had targets of Siddiqui, Diarra at Sunderland that they completely missed out on. It doesn't go without saying that. And it's just one of them for me. I don't know whether or not Adam will still be director of football. And I don't also know if the board asked him to step down, what sort of role he would then take. I don't see that being his development. I think it's happened a little bit too quick. There should have been more bodies, more external people coming in and involved that have been here and done it before, especially with relegation being on horizon potentially. Betsy, again, absolutely agree with you. With Adam bringing in decent players who are going to improve the group. 49ers have not helped us progress after last season, so we're in this difficult spot and the fans are getting restless, pal. Yeah, thank you, Betsy. Again, that's a fantastic comment. Fans are getting restless because as a football club, I think, it's a huge institution. You go anywhere around the world. I was in Canada, I had my Leeds shirt on, and I had, different cultures coming up to me and saying, "Oh, Leeds United, wow, how they're doing," and having really good, positive chats with them. And obviously, at this point, we just got to the Premier League, and we were just starting to make us way into the season. And everybody knows Leeds. You only have to look at the history behind the club. Obviously, in recent years, it's not been as good. We've not established as a Premier League club. The last time we came up, due to Victor Orta had previous experience at Middlesbrough. I have a good friend of mine that basically said he'd get you one out of every 9 players that would be top class, which arguably we did get with Ben White, with Rafinha. But we need now a real system in place. I think 6 eyes is better than 4. 4 eyes is better than 2 in terms of recruitment. But I do worry about the upcoming January window and what will be available for Leeds, considering how they got on in the summer when, it is an overpriced market. But when I went on Sky Sports and after promotion, I said the 2 players I wanted, which was Hamza Igaman at Rangers, who cost 10 million for either, I think it was Lyon, and then Lille bought Pavel Sulch. So I'm looking at these 2 players. Start with Hamza Igaman. He signed for them. He's got 4 goals, 1 assist in 5 games in the Europa League. And then you look at Pavel Sulch. He's also got 4 goals in Ligue 1, as well as Hamza's extra 4 in that league. So the creative outlets to strikers, they're not so, you're not going to 8 rows. We were never going to 8 rows this summer. I completely understood that. But there's teams out there such as Brighton, Brentford and Bournemouth that lead good examples. Bournemouth have a crowd of 11,000 each week. That is not sustainable at Premier League level. But what is sustainable is constant recruitment, well-backed recruitment, ideologies, and a real implementation of unknown players. It doesn't always work, but a database system, a Moneyball system, and a clear outlook on what player you need and want. It goes a long way, and that's some way that where Leeds need to be. And I don't know if Adam's got that. Don't think he's really got the pull to bring players in just yet. His lack of experience for me, and that will go for anybody that took the job that had never even been a director of football and only just started progressing into the internship of this side of things. I mean, to go from academy manager to the football operations to director of football, I mean, it does seem odd to me. I must admit, if you're an academy manager, you're looking really to progress into being into management and working your way up. But obviously, Adam took his approach and did it his way. I aren't against that, but it does slightly seem odd that Leeds just trusted him. Clearly thought he was up to the job. I had my doubts straight away. I really didn't want him to take up the role of doing the director of football. Alex Ellis, we've had players like the ones you have just said, so why can't we get them kind of players in the window again? Yeah, well, Hamza and Pavel were there. And if you go back to when I said it, to me, it seemed obvious. So Pavel had been with Victoria Plaza and had done really well in Europe. So you're looking at these kind of teams that won't be charging the premium prices for these types of players because their leagues aren't at that standard like the Premier League. But, you know, the European side of it is the key thing. I mean, Hamza Igaman scored in big moments. So, you know, he's a big game player. Celtic away, winning 3-2 in front of 60,000. You know he can handle the pressure. Scoring against Tottenham in the Europa League, you know he can handle pressure. And his general game, I mean, you only have to look at his legs. His legs are like horses. His calves, his muscles, he's strong, he's physical, and he's direct. Everything, all the ingredients that Leeds needed in the summer. I don't like to keep going back to it, but it's very difficult after the window we've had and now where we find ourselves in the table, regardless of today. We've got 11 points. We should have a lot more. We should be at least, for me, at this point, with all the games played, I think the XG says we should be around about 8th, to be honest with you. But general performances haven't been 8th quality. So we're still a soft touch in my eyes. We're still a little bit naive, finding our feet, but it can only go on for so long if I'm totally honest with you. But yeah, I think we're gonna start to wrap things up, guys. I want to say a massive thank you. It's been a bit longer than what I anticipated. I didn't realise the time, but there's been that much to speak about today, and I can't thank everybody enough. Fingers crossed we can go into a bit of depth on Daniel to see what's going on. We'll have a chat next time about potentially what system he'll go with and why we think he's going to go with it. And hopefully, yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed and our toes and everything we can. And yeah, look forward to the next one. We will just get one last comment in because Bets has been fantastic tonight. So thank you very much, Bets. The thing is, 6 points in our next 2 difficult home games. Yes, could massively kickstart our season. Ellen Road will be rocking. Fans, yeah. So they've given us something to shout about, haven't they? Got to go pick up my son. Yeah, thanks for watching, Betsy. Much appreciated, love. So yeah, let's go. Let's just fight. Let's go. Let's enjoy the next one that comes. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. And always, as always, marching on together. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.